Sometimes distance creeps into our closest relationships without us even noticing, until it feels like we're living separate lives under the same roof or even with other family members. In part one of today's episode, we explore what family estrangement really looks like, why it happens, and how healing can begin starting with yourself. Welcome back to Fulfillment Therapy. Today we have a special guest here with us, Janette Beverley. We're so excited to have you on the show, Janette. Thank you for coming on.
Thanks for asking. I'm so excited.
Yeah. Well, I want to give a little background to guests. Your favorite role is being a mother of 5 and grandmother of 2. She is a licensed professional counselor who works with families, couples, and individuals focused on relational distress and anxiety in her private practice. She's also a concert pianist and composer who's performed around the world and studied piano performance at the University of Utah before graduating magna cum laude in psychology from the University of Arizona. She earned her master's in marriage and family therapy with distinction from National University. She's originally from Idaho, and her husband, Brian, moved over 20 times in 29 years before happily settling in Idaho. I love that little bio and a little glimpse into your life. Can you tell me a little bit more about you outside of that? Like why you got into this space, why you love it?
I actually love being a therapist. I feel like I really enjoy talking to people. I love listening to their stories. I love being a part of their stories. I try to find space for how people are experiencing their life, which can be different than mine, similar to mine. I love watching the backgrounds of people, where people come from. I've always loved working with people. So when I decided to become a therapist, it was just, yay, I get to hang out with people and talk to wonderful people like you.
Oh, I love it. We probably don't get to do this as much in your daily private practice. I'm excited to pick your brain a little bit. And today we're talking about estrangement in families, and that's kind of a big topic. This is not going to air around the holidays, but right now it's the holidays. And so the thing that comes up in those times, there's a lot of tension. People are not necessarily looking forward to the holidays. Give us a quick glimpse into this. Like, what do you see with your clients about estrangement? What does it look like in families? How does it show up differently between parents and kids and siblings?
Yeah, it's interesting because it is a very common theme with my clients, like adult clients, children. I read a study done in Cornell not long ago and found that 1 in 4 adults in the United States has some kind of estrangement with a family member, whether it's a sibling, parent, or a child. That to me says there's definitely something going on. With my clients, there's a difference. And I noticed that there's maybe 2 different ways that estrangement happens. The first way is there's some childhood trauma. There was abuse, severe neglect, and those people tend to go, hey, this is for my benefit. I've got to not have you in my life. It doesn't create a safe space for me. So they cut these people out. And in those cases where there is the abuse, there is the neglect, there is the things that is damaging to the relationship. No judgment on that. Like, you need to keep yourself in a better space. There's also the newer trend that we're seeing is that, hey, we don't agree on something. I don't like how you said that. I don't feel like you respect me. And so there's a pushing away or a cutting off of family members, reasons of hurt feelings, crossed boundaries, lack of communication. And so it shows up in families differently, right? So there's parents who cut off children who don't behave the way they want. Or the new trend that we're seeing a lot of is the adult children who are estranged from their parents for many different reasons, right? Whether it's emotionally cut off, there's no contact, they block their numbers, they avoid holidays, things like that. And then there's also the siblings where we grow up and as siblings, we don't really get along. So I'm going to keep you out of my life, or a sibling that's kind of toxic and I can't have you in my life. So it does look different in every family and every situation is different. As a counselor, I don't push people towards estrangement. It's a big decision and it is a very personal decision. And there are different issues that go around each different kind of decision.
I'm glad that you spoke to both of these, and I really can't wait to hear what you have to say, because what I'm seeing a lot with my clients and listeners that have reached out is that there's not a lot of understanding of what boundaries really are or healthy conflict resolution. There's more, oh, I don't like what you say. I want to have control. I want to hurt you, so I'm going to shut you off. I'm going to push you away and call it a boundary and pat myself on the back because I feel better now. When that's more avoidance. I'd love to get your opinion on it, but I'm often surprised. We just use these words. We think we understand, but maybe we don't. And is it really creating more intimacy? That's one thing I've talked about on the podcast recently and to other people, is that boundaries create greater connection and intimacy by setting that up. It's to completely push people away and avoid unpleasant conversations, but it's something else entirely. Could you speak to that a little bit, what you've noticed?
The first thing you have to understand is that both parties have to understand what the boundary is. Right. It can't just be, I don't like what you said, so therefore you're done. There has to be a conversation. If something is done to me and I don't appreciate that, I say, hey, you know what? I don't appreciate how you just handled that, how you spoke to me, how I felt disrespected. Please do not cross that. Again, for me, that's a boundary that hurt me, that affected me. But what we're seeing is that the boundaries are not clear. A boundary, both parties know what this is, and they can say, hey, this is what I don't want. Okay, I understand. I won't cross that boundary. And then if the boundary keeps continuing to be crossed, then that's a whole nother conversation. We live in a social media world, right? And there's TikTok trends and reels everywhere about estrangement, cutting people out. If they're not serving you, let them go. The problem is we're listening to influencers, comedians who are going, yeah, it just made me the best, happiest person in the world when I cut my person out because they crossed a boundary for me. We're throwing around a lot of buzzwords and the words you need to understand. A boundary is not an opinion. It's not, hey, this is my opinion. Either agree with me, or a boundary is, hey, I'm going to talk to you about it. And once that boundary is set, you understand it, I understand it. We both know, hey, this is important to me. Please don't cross this boundary. Then it's a boundary. It's something that we both understand, right? Yeah, that I think is a tricky one because the word boundary gets thrown around a lot. And a healthy boundary is important, right? Yeah. Especially when adult kids get married and now they're husband and wife and the parents want to get involved with the husband and wife and their kids. Okay, well, there needs to be, hey, we're the parents, we're going to parent this way. So this is how we need to do it. Our expectation is that you respect that, but you have to have a conversation. If there's something that is done that you don't understand or you don't appreciate, first you conversate about it and then you create a boundary about it, right? Like, hey, if you're going to spank my children, we don't spank our children, so you cannot spank my child. That's my boundary. And if you cross that, there's going to be consequences. But first it's a conversation and then it can be a boundary. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely. And I want to share a personal example. I actually can't remember if I've shared this on the podcast before, but this has been on my mind. The more people are talking about boundaries and not understanding because of a personal experience. There was somebody that we had reached out to, my husband and I, very lovingly. I can speak with total confidence that we had extended a lot of invitations. We're very kind to these people and they were reciprocating. They liked it. They would come. It was just like they were new to the area. So we're really trying to make them feel welcome and connected. My husband and I, both being therapists, we also are not your average Joe, maybe. We talk more about feelings. We just are maybe a different kind of breed of people a little bit more. That's okay. That's who we are. But not knowing these people very well and their background, we're maybe not like that. I still don't entirely know. But they never said a word. And then one day they got really unkind, really mean. They just said that it was triggering to them to be around us and they wanted us to respect their boundary and to not engage, talk to them, or reach out in any way. And so I just said, hey, I would love to apologize for my part in this. Like, I would love to take some ownership. I'm happy to have a conversation about this. I can respect what you're saying, whatever you need right now. But there was nothing. They wouldn't give me any information to work through whatever had been triggering to them. And we have reached out gently over a period of several months to respect them. Nothing. They're just very much like, you're cut off, you are bad. All of this language is very destructive instead of being something that can connect. And so that's part of why I wanted to talk about this. Like, what do you do if somebody in your family responds in this way and refuses to even communicate what it is about?
That's when it's really hard too, because you're right. Like, I'll talk to my clients. I can honestly tell you the majority of my clients experience this in some way or another. The hard part is now I can't apologize or understand, not that we want to explain our side necessarily, because that doesn't often work. If there's no chance of reconciliation at all because that cutoff is there, then it's a whole nother thing, because then I'm asking people, hey, you're going to have to grieve this loss and it's going to hurt. I talk about this with both sides. I'll have families come in that are in that estrangement situation, and I need both of you to understand what this feels like. For them, this is a considerable loss. There's a loss there that I don't understand. I don't know how to fix it. You're not letting me fix it. We're not having conversations that can heal this. And so they're stuck and we feel stuck. That's when it's this grieving process of what do I do now? How do I fulfill my life in ways that are still going to be joyful? How do I mourn the loss of this relationship with someone that I love when they're not willing to come back to the table and talk about it? That is significant and difficult because we're also going to turn inward and go, oh, it's my fault. I did something wrong. I must be horrible. Or we go, I'm so angry and I'm getting bitter, just unkind feelings. So
Or
they're
both.
or both at the same time. Exactly. And then there comes like, I've got to learn how to heal from this. I've got to figure out that now comes the internal work. If you got people shoving you to the side saying, sorry, we're not even considering this, the only person you can work on is yourself, right? At that point, there's us going, hey, I'm not perfect. I'm aware that I'm not perfect. I recognize that I make mistakes. I say the wrong thing sometimes, but I'm trying, right? And so then you're going to turn inward and go, what can I do to be the best person I can? How can I show up for other people? How can I show up for myself without this toxic blame that's kind of coming my direction? And that's hard. Like, I don't mean to say that that's an easy thing. I'll tell people you're going to think about it and it's going to come up in your mind and you're going to want to obsess about it and you're going to want to take it apart and open it up and see how it's ticking, but you don't know the answer. So then it is okay, I'm going to have to let that go to the side. It's going to come up again and you're going to have to go, okay, I don't know how to fix this. I can't. So I'm going to have to let this go to the side. And it's kind of a remembering without letting it hurt. We'll always say that time heals all wounds. It does get easier, but it's always there. It's always that hurt. I miss these people. They don't let me in. I can't fix it. We have friends that cut us off. We have family members. We have siblings. And depending on the closeness of the relationship, the pain can be severe. There might be grandchildren involved where you're not allowed to see your grandchildren or your nieces or nephews. So then it just gets painful because we don't know how to fix it. So then there's several things, right? It's, okay, I'm going to have to focus on healing myself and feeling the loss and maybe even grieving what we hoped that relationship would be. A lot of experience of people being reconciled to estranged family members and friends. And those are beautiful situations when I bring couples and families together and they both talk about it. This person is feeling grief. This person, the person that did the cutoff, might be feeling not heard or belittled or upset or angry. I ask them both to consider both sides, right? Like, they are grieving. They don't know how to fix what's broken, but you don't feel like you want to let them know how to fix that. And so then we're stuck, right? There's no room for growth if one party isn't willing to talk about it and the other person can't fix what they want, so it's a tricky situation. To your question, then it's time to figure out how you can heal yourself, how you can make your heart okay, how you can move forward, focusing on other relationships that are healthy, that are working, that are good. And that's hard, right? Because we tend to focus on what we don't have. We're humans. That's how we do it. But if we can focus on maybe the family members that do want us around, maybe the friends that do spend time making you a part of their life, that's a healthy way to move forward. Grieve the loss, but find fulfillment in other places.
Right. And I think it's in our nature to want to have cheerleaders backing us up. There's this desire to get reinforcement from other people that I'm not bad, I did a good thing or whatever. Just trying to give them the benefit of the doubt, recognizing I don't have the full story.
Right.
Also practicing like patience and recognize this is experience for me. This will help me better understand other people. But yeah, and then nurturing those other relationships without letting that bitterness creep in. I know a lot of clients that I've had, and probably you too, it's difficult, especially when you see these people regularly, like maybe at church or the gym. I know that's happened with a couple people with me, and it wounds you again, like over and over. It's almost like you want to avoid it even more, and you can't. So what would you say to those people that are still coming face to face? Maybe they work with this person and it hurts. Like, how do you not move into that bitterness? What do you do?
I love that question. It's hard. In these situations, it's really hard not to get bitter and not want to justify yourself. Talk to people. Hear my side of the story. This is their side, but I want you to hear my side of the story. Like, I think we go that direction. Like, I need to feel like it's not my fault. I need to make sure people know it's not my fault. Try to avoid doing that because that will just create more animosity, more bitterness. If you see them on a regular basis, it is difficult because it's going to feel that, that punch to the gut. Our job, right? We cannot control or affect another person. The only person we can control is ourselves. How am I going to show up as myself? Even though inside I'm probably going, oh, I hate this. I don't like feeling like this. I don't like seeing this person who's having fun with everybody else, but I'm not allowed to be a part of that. That's hard. And you're going to feel it and you're going to let yourself feel it. And then you're going to act in a way that you can be proud of. Like, I'm not going to treat them differently. I'm not going to gossip about them. I'm going to try to understand where they're coming from without the bitterness. And that takes work. So when I say try, it's hard, right? Like, you're going to have the thoughts come in. You're going to be angry and bitter. And you're going to have to be like, okay, hold on, calm down. This is not healthy for me. This is not making me a better person. I'm not going to fix the relationship by being angry or gossiping. I'm going to have to go, hey, this hurts. I'm going to feel that it hurts, maybe even sit in it a little bit. Okay, yeah, this sucks. I'm going to see them today at the gym. I know they're there. Or I'm going to see their son and he's playing football with my kid. I can do it, right? It is talking to yourself about what's important. I always say, start with the end in mind. If your goal is to have this person back in your life, if it's a family member, a loved one that you're like, I can't imagine my life without them, then we're going to work with that goal in mind. So we're going to treat them in a way that's going to allow that room to be there, right? We're going to leave space for, I'm going to be kind to them. I'm going to try to be thoughtful. I'm going to try to still be myself so that over time, maybe that relationship can heal. But what people do a lot of times is they grab their anger or their sadness or their bitterness and they start to become more angry, or they become more distant, or they be unkind, or they talk about them. And then that door's shut, right? And then we no longer have an estrangement. We have a cutoff and the door is slammed shut. Estrangement, a lot of times the door's just a little open. Hey, I'm taking a break for a minute, but I hope we can get back to something better. I would say for the party who's been estranged is, how can you make sure that you're living in such a way that door remains open? And it's not easy, because if you see them on a regular basis, it's going to hurt every time. I would say that's going to go away, but
thanks for joining us today for this meaningful conversation on rediscovering connection and peace in our families. If today's episode resonated, check out fulfillmenttherapy.org to learn more about our upcoming group coaching, our courses, and our weekly emails designed to help you build fulfillment in your home and within yourself. I'll see you right back here for part 2.